What was the cringiest thing you did in your first relationship? UHG, me and my first boyfriend, being around 13 years old, had no idea how to kiss. Our first makeout consisted of us just licking each other's tongues with our eyes wide open staring at each other. We did this in public. I will never forget the day an upperclassman laughed at us and said, "Dude, close your eyes." This dude was the real MVP. He didn't actually break up with me. He just ghosted me. I didn't want to admit it, so I was like, yeah, we're still dating. I just haven't heard from him in like a month. I was 16. Ate river grass straight from the water on a canoe ride because I thought he'd be impressed. Somehow, I die inside thinking about it now. His mother was there. We were walking down a hallway and his hand kept brushing mine, so I assumed he wanted to hold hands. Tried to grab his hand and got swatted away. That's not too bad, right? Well, I tried a second and a third time in the span of 30 seconds. I didn't know Donald Trump was on this Reddit thread. My first relationship. I had seen a post on somewhere claiming the best backup plan to being rejected when asking someone if they want a kiss was to pull out some Hershey's Kisses and act as if that you were simply asking if they wanted some. I thought I'd use this the next day when the girl I had a crush on came over. We were laying on my bed 2 feet apart watching The Shining. I look at her. She doesn't look at me. I say frick it and ask, "Hey, do you wanna kiss?" She pauses for a good 5 seconds before saying no with disgust in her voice. I then, thinking I'm a bloody legend, pull out a bag of Hershey's Kisses and say, "More for me then." She knew I wasn't asking her if she wanted Hershey's Kisses, and I knew she knew. We sat in silence and watched the rest of the movie as I ate a whole bag of Hershey's Kisses. Seems smooth to me. After 2 months I decided it was more than like but not love, so I told her I eloped her. She broke up with me 2 weeks later. Your brain did a retardation. This is probably one of the best ones because of how ridiculous it is. It was during high school when I sewed a tiny rabbit plushie with her name on it for our first anniversary. Long story. She broke up with me that day and still I tried to give it to her. Later at the end of the day she returned the plushie in my locker. That is so cute, except for trying to give it to her after. The way we talked on Facebook. My god, every now and then I get a memory on Facebook and want to gag. Plus talk about marriage and kids and crap. I was 15. If it makes you feel better, I think everyone in a relationship at 16 thinks they're gonna get married and be with them forever. Our hormones outweighed our consciences, and we had sex under a blanket on a couch like 3 feet from some of our friends. We tried to move as little as possible to give the impression that we were just cuddling, but I don't think anyone was fooled, because all of our friends got up and moved to another room. They left the door open though, and could still see us. Didn't matter, we just hit frick it and, well, fricked, loudly. I haven't spoken to those people in a long time. Not the cringiest, but up there. We were probably 14-15 and didn't know how making out worked exactly, so we tried making out with our eyes open, full eye contact. It still gives me the heebie-jeebies. Had my first relationship with a girl when I was 12. Our relationship consisted of mostly hanging out at school and talking on the phone. Then we planned a date to the movies, which everyone in 8th grade knows mean going on for a kiss. I was incredibly nervous, so I asked my older brother, older by a year, how to kiss. He assured me all I had to do was spell out the alphabet with my tongue. So we go to see the movie, and after I lay on the already cringy onto arm around her, I go in for the kiss. I fervently started tracing ABCD. She pulled away around F and didn't say another word in the movie or on the car ride home when my mom picked us up. She broke up with me the day after. I bet your big brother got a good laugh out of it. Gave a girl a CD with a single song on it. Falling for You by Student Rick, and a long note describing how the music expressed my feelings. Did not label the CD. Also happened to burn a Bad Religion CD the same night. Did not label this CD either. Got mad at girl when she told me she only got to listen to the first half of the CD. What the heck? There was only one track. She didn't even listen to it. Guess what I heard when I put in my Bad Religion CD? Boy, this guy sure has a lot of sexual feelings about war and imperialism. Logging into each other's Facebooks to post stupid crap. For example, it post from his account something along the lines of OMGFJSGK is the best GF in the world, I love her so much, and all of our high school friends thought it was funny. Also generally oversharing too much online. From me being mad at him, to me gushing about how great he was. I turned on Facebook memory notifications a year or two ago so I could meticulously comb through my Facebook posts day by day and purge the years of embarrassments from my account. Let him go swimming with his ex and her family. He invited me, but I can tell he didn't want me to come. I was fresh 18 and he was my first boyfriend, so I didn't stand up for myself. Cut to a few weeks later. I come home. Yes, we were living together, and his ex is in our bed. He swears she was on the couch when he left. It was a long shift, so I told him to just wake her up and have her moved to the couch. She left in an angry, tear-filled rage. I stayed with him when he admitted he got a hotel with her. He said it was before me, but I think he was lying, and had sex with her, then threw the key card at her and left because he needed to have sex with her one last time. He said it was to make sure he was over her, but to also punish her for cheating on him. Man, that whole relationship was cringe. I was so naive. I think it's probably common for first-time relationship girls to have cool girl syndrome. I definitely let my first boyfriend openly cheat on me, and I never ever confronted him because I so desperately wanted to be perceived as a cool girl. I'm just assuming this was your first relationship ever, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Wasn't my first, but first serious. I was dating a Turkish girl for a month or so and her mother came to visit from Turkey. The mother spoke no English. The three of us went to eat at a restaurant. Possibly because I was nervous, or possibly because I needed to express my sense of humor amongst all of the foreign Turkish conversation. I slipped down on one knee and raised my hands as if proposing marriage to my girlfriend. Both of them took the bait for a second, eyes wide in shock, and then I popped back into my chair and chuckled. Just kidding. Sick prank, bro. Created a shared MySpace account where we posted how in love we were. Also, I saved every wrapper from the condom we used. At least it was just the wrapper. Made out with her at a softball game in front of her parents. Just what every parent wants to see, their daughter face fricking a chubby emo kid. I was a cringy 14-year-old. Justin, for your information, face fricking usually means something else. Unless that is what you meant, in which case I have no words. Broke up with her by sending her the lyrics to All I Do Is Win before blocking her on Xit, chat app. ND high-fiving my bros. I was 15. That's rough. I played Pop Goes the Weasel on the piano over the phone. A 3-page version of it. He broke up with me through a friend a week later. This made me snort with laughter. Jealousy. Oh boy, the jealousy and amount of it. Most regrettable and cringy thing I did was after our breakup, where we decided to stay friends and even had a laugh at a McDonald's before she went home to her place and I was going to mine. Fast forward 10 minutes and I was taking the bus over to her place, listening to sad songs on the way and thinking I'd win her heart back by confronting her outside her house. Crap, still makes me cringe. Glad I matured from that. I was 17/18 at the time, and that perfect mix of insecure and jealous. I used to freak out if I ever thought he was looking at other girls. The worst was when I found a panty shot in one of his mangas. My ridiculous tantrum was so bad he threw out his entire manga collection, which was large and something he really loved. I still feel bad about it to this day. Eventually I realized how toxic that kind of behavior is, for a relationship and just in general. I have the same issue with my girlfriend. I freaked out on her and I can have controlling behavior. I'm cutting it back. It's hard when you love someone so much and you also have insecurities, so your mind is a freaking clusterfuck of emotion and you don't think logically. I got so mad at my first boyfriend when I saw pictures from a party where he was theater kissing. When you hold your thumb between each other's mouths but it looks like you're really kissing. Another guy as a goofball joke. I knew he wasn't really kissing him, but I freaked out anyways because I thought people would think he was gay and think he no longer loved me. I remember calling him and sobbing over it. It was full-blown psycho. It's as if you're the bullet and you managed to dodge yourself. I got to use Han Solo's line. I once held out my hand to her, and she said my hands are dirty, and without skipping a beat, I said my hands are dirty too. What are you afraid of? I thought I was cool. I was not. When my boyfriend and I were getting together, I was very guarded about the whole thing because I wasn't really looking for feelings, commitment, etc. One night, he takes my hand and said, "I love you," to which I replied, "I know." I knocked on her door, gave her a homegrown cucumber from my parents' garden, and left. We're actually getting married in a year. Standing outside the movie theater after seeing something, laughing and joking around. I was much taller than her and she jokingly made like she was going to spit up at me, so I jokingly made like I was going to spit down at her, only it didn't turn out to be a joke. I launched a huge gob right down between her eyes. We dated for 5 years after that. I dated this girl for around a year and a half. We were going to go to college together. I asked her to marry me. We were happy. Because I had graduated when I was 16, I had more time for work throughout the weeks. So by the time she graduated I had 16k saved, give or take. My grandfather died after his lungs turned into concrete. He had worked construction for so long that his lungs were 1/3 full of concrete dust. It was terrible. I go out to Michigan while my fiance stays back to enroll in her first semester. I stay out there for a month to help my grandmother and mother go through all sorts of stuff. Tagging it for sale or keep, as the will was vague as to what goes to whom, and everyone just agreed to sell unimportant stuff. Anyhow, I start getting homesick. I tell my mother I'm going to drive back to New Hampshire from Michigan. While I'm out on the road my debit card gets declined, which is weird. So I give them a credit card and make my way. This happened a few times till I think maybe it's not my card. Go to a library in Canada. I took that way through since it was faster, cheaper at the time, and check my account. 12k missing. The remaining amount I had after moving all her and my stuff into an apartment near the college. I get worried. I called my fiance a couple times with mild to no success. Make it back finally and I get a phone call from her. She admitted she cheated on me with her friend's drug dealer. That I was gone and he reminded her so much of me. She was lonely and wanted to be comforted. I hung up. What happened to all the money, I hear you asking? She spent it investing in her new BF's budding drug business while I was Canada on my way home. All that, yet I begged her to come back and I would forgive it all. Money is just paper. Sex is just sex. I loved her and I cried and begged like a kid in a toy store begging for the cool new toy. I wish I had more dignity at the time. Fast forward a bit months and I'm in basic for the Air Force and she has a baby from that drug dealer who isn't a part of the picture. Petty, but I felt like in the end her life was worse off than mine. This was during my first year of high school, so my first real high school girlfriend. I was at her house and we were cuddling, which was all we had done at this point, and I tell her to say truck. She does. I proceed to grab her boobs and say honk honk while I squeeze. I still cringe at that one night. This actually made me laugh IRL. Thanks for this. I sung I Can Be Your Hero Baby by Enrique Iglesias over the phone before I asked her out. The kicker to it all was I had never met her in person yet. It was my best friend's GF friend. It worked out okay. She said yes and we dated for a month or so, but I wish I could go back and punch former me in the face. We wouldn't go out on dates often, but when we would I'd give him these little origami hearts with little notes inside. One for each day we didn't see each other. Looking back I'm cringing af about it, hahaha. It's really cute though. This one's a two-parter. Dated a co-worker at a certain department store for like a month. She never seemed to be available, always busy since we had conflicting schedules. So one day I got fed up and kissed her by surprise in the stockroom. Mistake number 1. She was flattered at first, but then realization set and I kissed her at our workplace and she mentioned the stockroom cameras, and she scooted away for the rest of the day. Later that day, we text. I tell her I just need to see her more often. I keep asking what days, times, but get nowhere, and then I asked her for her work login. WTF. So I could just check her schedule and tell her when we should meet. No response. The next day I find out she got moved to women's clothing because they needed the help. A couple days later I get her text saying she needs space and time alone and all that. And it all made sense suddenly just how naive I had been. How pushy can someone be at times? While driving my daughter's first boyfriend home after school one day, he looks at the clock and says, "Haha, 4:20. I gave him a weird look. The car was silent for 5 minutes. Then I looked at the clock and said, haha 4:25 and shot him another weird look. Dumbass. I'm on desktop and read it till here, cause the sentence ends here, and was like WTF. Also, I'm high, while driving my daughter's first boyfriend home after school one day. He looks at the clock and says, haha 4:20. I gave him a weird look. The car was silent for 5 minutes. Then I looked at the clock and said, haha 4:25 and shot him. We didn't see each other very often because we were long distance, so we roleplayed through text, so many hugs. It always remained really innocent because we were both pretty religious at the time. Well, thank you for reminding me of those MSN Messenger days. We had fake children that we would take care of through roleplay. We had fake children sobs from the cringe. Now ex-girlfriend and I had sex for the first time. She turned to me and said, I think I'm in love with you. I was caught off guard, so I joked and said, oh, you're not supposed to say that after sex. Laughed and tried to have sex again with her. I will always cringe at that memory. I just spit my drink out. We used to give little and very random sentimental gifts to each other. For example, Squirtle was an inside joke thing between us. So over time he would give me Squirtle related things. The Pokemon card, a little Squirtle toy, etc. I remember filling up a little mason jar with many tiny origami stars, each with a reason why I loved him. He read all of them, but because our relationship was very low-key and hidden from our families, middle school days, he couldn't bring it home and hide it from his nosy family. So after unraveling each star, he put the papers back into the jar and gave it back to me to take home. Waste of time and very cringe looking back. Nope, that's adorable. My first real relationship was in college, and I was dating a guy I had met not all that long ago, maybe just a few months prior. I lived in the dorms but he didn't, and there were some times when he would come to my dorm room in the afternoon and we would take a nap or just sit around talking. The first time he came to my room, we had just started dating and he was hesitant about sleeping in the same bed with me, so he asked what I would rather do. I got upset that he didn't want to just sleep in the same bed right away because we're dating right now, and he accepted. But I could tell he would have been more comfortable sleeping in separate beds. I still remember exactly what I said because it was so embarrassing in hindsight. I did a lot of other super cringy things back then. Tried to kiss him while he was sleeping, drunk texted him, gave him tons of gifts and handmade stuff trying to get him back after he broke up with me a few weeks later. I was really immature and childishly selfish about relationships for a long time. Bullet level, dodged. Hopefully the bullet is recycled now into something cool. Had a teenage drama meltdown, which involved hysterical crying or threatening to harm myself and getting people to take sides, when he broke up with me and kinda hooked up with his best friend as revenge. I am cringing as I type this, and if you are reading this, either of you, I'm really, really sorry. I was an immature kid who acted like a massive bee. I regret what I did and what I put you through. We are all adults now, but I'm still ashamed of that chapter in my life. Still together after 4.5 years, but looking back we were cringy in high school. We acted almost like a married couple and were together 24/7, scheduling all our classes together. We went to a small school and managed to isolate ourselves from everyone. Sure, we had our buddies and whatnot, but at the end of the day it was always just me and her. By the time we got to college we realized we both have no idea how to really interact with groups of people our age. We still spend 90% of our time together, but we've been making a real effort to have real friends outside of each other. Looking back, I feel like most people saw us as trying to be more serious than we needed to be. Oh boy, I win this one. He broke up with me when I caught him talking to other guys online, using a dating profile that had pictures of the two of us but me cropped out, or pictures that I took. So I thought I could win him back by handcrafting a Legend of Zelda, his favorite game, treasure chest that had an MP3 player and a speaker built in, and it had a Triforce as the controlling buttons. It played music from the game and his favorite songs from Wicked the musical. Here is the cringe part. 1. We were only together for a month. 2. I mailed it to his house 3 months after we broke up, and I said I made it for his birthday while we were dating and I figured he should have it, except his birthday was like 10 months away. 3. I didn't actually know his address. He never told me, So I looked up the company where his dad was the CEO so I could get his full name, which I didn't know, and looked it up online and found his home address. 4. I spent $250 on that music box. 5. I signed the card I put in there. A friend. He must have thought I was a freaking serial killer, holy crap. I paid Max Bemis, Say Anything, to write a song about how much I love my then boyfriend for Christmas. We broke up before I received the song. It was bad. I emailed it to him anyway. I was 19. 1. I let a girl tie a rope around my neck at our high school cause I thought it would be funny and show I didn't give a frick. Looking back I just look like a freaking desperate P. Yikes. Bondage kinks are fun. I have a couple. My first girlfriend and I didn't know how to make out, so our makeout just consisted of holding one kiss for a long time, like 30ish minutes. Same girlfriend but a few months later, we eventually figured out the making out thing. I feel the relationship heading south. She is being distant and the 30-minute drive is getting tough because neither of us can drive yet. Anyway, I decide to write her a love poem but I'm a terrible writer so I just rework the lyrics to a Stain song that hadn't been released on the radio. She loves the poem and thinks I'm the sweetest guy ever blah blah blah. Fast forward a couple weeks and Stain releases the song on the radio and it's a huge hit because it's the early 2000s and I have terrible luck. She calls me asking if I did exactly what I did. Poof, relationship over. My dad dated this girl from when he was 12 to about 23, throughout his Navy service and everything. She broke up with him because she didn't want to settle down. A few months later, she moved to Illinois and my dad drove an unregistered car with an expired license to her house and camped out on her lawn for 3 days trying to win her back. I broke up with my boyfriend at a baseball game he took me to by sticking out my hand for him to shake and said friends I was in 5th grade but I still don't think that makes it okay. So this was more the guy than it was me, but dang if it wasn't the clingiest thing to ever happen to me. It was 8th grade, and I was talking to that weird in between phase between friends and dating. Well, I was talking to this guy in my English class. I had a huge crush on him, and we texted every day. I can still vividly remember texting him on my huge white slider phone while watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, feeling like the luckiest girl in the world. Well, this lasted into summer break, and we kept texting but never hung out BC we were 13 and weird. One day, I see him at the movie theaters with his brother and I get all excited and run over to say hi. He acts all wired and kind of pretends not to know me. So I slink back to my family all defeated. Then I get a text from him that's along the lines of hey what's up, this kid didn't have the balls to talk to me IRL. I was so confused and never spoke to him again. The quality of my love life hasn't improved much since then but at least some of the other guys I've dated talk to me in public. We used to send super annoying and incredibly long goodnight texts. Basically love letters every night. And to top it all off, with all caps on. Lied about my age. She was 16 and I was 14 going on 15. We lost our virginities while completely crap-faced at 3 in the morning on the front step, suburbs, which was cold concrete on a November morning in Alberta, because it was so cold I could maintain my pubescent erection. 10/10 would dive into that dumpster fire of hormones again. Lacey, if you see this, I'm sorry, I eat butt now and am totally 30 I promise. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.